Is it giving you all the feels or what?
No,
you're bringing up generational traumas here, you
know. Easy. Hey. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the first episode of the Hobby Hangout. My name is Nathan, True Collectibles, and on the Hobby Hangout here, we kind of like to see everybody's different type of collecting. We believe everybody collects a whole bunch of different stuff. Nobody's in one area. Nobody's all Marvel. Nobody's all DC. Nobody's all Batman or anything like that. Even myself as a domino collector, I collect different things. I don't only collect domino. So we wanted to bring in some of my favorite people in the collecting world. Absolutely love their podcast, my number one podcast, the NSDC Podcast. We have Elusive Collectibles is here doing his best John Wayne Gacy in the basement impersonation tonight. I don't know what's going on there. He's trying to copy some of my truck mojo.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely inspire me for sure, 100%.
We just gotta give credit where credit. We gotta get you a little brighter. That's all, just a little bit brighter. Just a little too serial killer-esque right now. But
yeah.
And then down here we got my man Sergio, fellow veteran.
Which he's darker than me. You know what I mean? You can't even see him.
Don't worry about it.
So it's just being shy.
That's all that Miami sunlight he gets. So
yeah, man, I'm a vampire.
Oh, speaking of Miami, man, stay safe. You guys got a hurricane coming somewhere down in Florida.
It's like a Sunday evening, you know, a little rain
in Florida. Yeah, you're just so used to it, right?
Yeah,
wow.
The man himself, Jesus. What's up, my man? Well, we got two Jesuses, but this
I'm the other one. Yeah.
Nah, there's no other one.
Yeah, there's only one, actually, to be honest with you. There's only one.
Yeah. Collectively, the co-host of the NSDC Podcast.
Yeah.
You guys just broke 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
That first 100 is a huge grind, man. So congratulations to you guys making that.
Mm-hmm.
And
that felt
like we climbed Everest. On. Say again.
I said that felt like we just climbed Everest. This is what it felt like, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you got there's people out there that try to keep 20% down, and we're here to help try to push.
Listen, I mean, we wouldn't have believed you a year ago, but you ain't lying. There might be something to that.
Hey, we'll keep pushing as much as we can. I got some channels linked in the description below. Theirs is one of them. Of some of my favorite channels to watch over different aspects of the collecting hobby. So, but no, I just wanted to have you guys on today so you get a chance to kind of get to know you a little bit more as collectors and talk a little bit more about different things that you do collect. I mean, Elusive, a lot of people know you as a Batman collector, a Gambit collector, a Silver Surfer collector, a flip-flop collector,
a
1980
shiny cards.
I gotta take my shots. It's my show.
No, yeah, you know, for sure, man. Hey.
No, you love shiny stuff. Everybody knows that about you. Doom, everybody knows you're a big Doom guy, and I know you're making some big changes in your collecting hobby recently. But I think we all kind of take turns like that, right? Sergio, everybody knows you as the international comic book guy. You guys did that great episode where you kind of did a semi deep dive into international comic books. But I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to kind of share your thoughts on the collecting hobby and different things that you do collect, kind of show some people some other sides of what you collect and what you're into.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, thanks for having us on for sure.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it. I think we're all somehow similarly collect similar things, but at the same time we have our own direction, right? I think that's what makes it fun. And first time I met Elusive, we just talked about Doom cards and character collecting. I think he was doing Silver Surfer then. So it's been a long time since that, for sure. It's changed many times. You spent a lot of those years just trying to get into that Doom chat, right? No, I wouldn't say that. Shout out to the Doom chat. Elusive definitely, tried. He got in, then he got out somehow. I don't know what happened there, but
once you're in, I thought you couldn't get out. I thought it was
that's what scared me. You know, there was the role playing was heavy there, so I was like, let me get out before they hit me with some blood in, blood out type stuff.
You know,
do some God Emperor Doom stuff to you.
Yeah. Shout out to Free.
Yeah, the Free was already throwing shots at me when I was selling a couple of Doom cards, which is wild, and so I was like, you know what? Let me see myself out. I know when I overstayed my welcome,
Yeah. No, but
yeah, I mean, he has so many times just let him in, guys. Like,
yeah, I mean, he didn't start off liking Doom. It kind of rubbed off because we, me and Sergio were collecting heavy. Sergio's still collecting, but yeah, that was the origin for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, we all have our own things. Sergio, go ahead, dog. You started off. Since you don't want to show your face, you go first.
Yeah, man. This is what happens when I try to do something nice for the podcast. Like we're like, hey, we're gonna do a giveaway. Have something fun, and then like once again, I get attacked for my actions here. But it's okay.
Attack.
Hey, you wanted to be the Marine, man. So
exactly. Listen, I'm used to getting kicked when I'm down. It's okay.
First in, last out. Let's go.
Yeah. No, but I think when you talk about like the NSD as a whole, obviously we met like through Marvel and all that stuff, and we always talked about other things that we enjoyed as well. But for the most part, like obviously when that whole pump was going on with the whole Marvel thing, obviously like the artwork brought us together, the collecting brought us together, the trash talking brought us together for sure. Just having a good time watching people do silly things, and overall, like now I would say we definitely widen the horizon a little bit, and we look at other stuff, and I don't know. I mean, at this point, it just makes like the hobby a little bit more enjoyable, right? Because I'm not like fiending for a 1 of 1 and all that stuff. Like I've let that whole like number card thing go a while back. I mean, look, I have my number cards, whatever, that I still have like here in the collection, but at this point, man, like I'm not going to show it to spoil the surprise, but I'm having fun with what I showed you I'm doing, right? Just as much fun and something a little bit more productive than just like trying to collect the base card at a 50. There's some crazy stuff going on in the hobby right now, but all in all, I mean, I love the hobby space, the people in it. There's a lot of good people in the hobby, and that's what kind of keeps me around. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of like more the outcast because I'm the one that's like not posting like cards and stuff like that. These guys are posting way more, but it's I think just the inclusion of like the comics. Like once I got like deeper into the cards, and then the connection with the comics came around. I mean, yeah, man, it's I'm having a good time, and I hope that the card collectors out there are enjoying seeing a little bit more books out there, because it's just like it's like an origin story. Like you're just watching like where these things come from. So
yeah, it's a good point. What you were asking True earlier, I think what it is with the three of us is that we're all in the same age range. Like we're really maybe like a year apart between the three of us maximum. So, we're nostalgic towards the same things in general. And there's a lot of crossover between all of us, even like Ninja Turtles, Batman, we all fuck with those things. And I think what it is really is that as we progressed in the hobby together, we kind of knew who was like focusing more heavy on one thing, and we kind of respected it. At least for me, I knew, I've always fucked with Ninja Turtles. I had like Ninja Turtle figures, some little Lego figures that I was collecting. But as soon as I knew that Doom was doing it, I stopped collecting Ninja Turtles in general and focused more on other stuff. Sergio didn't even start off as a Doom collector, to be honest with you. People forget his name was Crypto Collectibles. He was starting off as a Ghost Rider collector.
Ghost Rider. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what he was doing heavy. He tried to, I also ripped off on him with the Surfer. He was trying to collect some Surfer stuff from Fausto. Shout out to Fausto. And then when we met Doom, for sure, Doom wasn't even on the map for me as a character, to be honest with you. So 100%, I got that from Jesus. And just from talking to him and just seeing how heavy he was into the character, I was like, man, there's got to be something about it. So I started looking up some of the cards and some of the artwork, and I would just pick up the pieces that resonated with me and I enjoyed. But yeah, I think we all like similar things, and like Doom said as well, that there's things that do set us apart. Like I would say Doom's a little bit more heavier into like lowriders than we are. I'm a little bit more heavy into Batmobiles than they are, and I would say Sergio at this point is more heavy into rainbowing foreign comic books than we are in general.
I think he has a more cohesive collection than me and Elusive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and Elusive are kind of spread out different and stuff like that. Where Sergio's more geared towards not necessarily one thing, but he's definitely more focused on what he's doing.
Focused on Dr. Doom foreign comics. And
That's
I remember when you started, it was like over a year ago.
This
Yeah.
is what I let you guys believe at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure he
That's
has
what he
some
lets
other
you.
stuff.
That's what he lets
Yeah.
you know, right? That's what he lets
Like,
everybody out there know.
He's starting to show the Spider-Mans. We know
Mm-hmm.
he has some Ghost Rider in there. He can't let that go.
You
He has
guys,
some
you guys know you
Daredevil. He has some
sometimes
Flame
when
Boy.
you're, sometimes when you're going, and you guys know this, when you're going after like very niche or very exclusive items, you got to keep it hush hush, because
Yeah.
otherwise you start sharing that too soon, and
Yeah.
then more like
Well,
I
this is the
think
thing
you
of
guys
that
mentioned
is-
it with like the international comics, like you did the whole NSDC podcast on that. Well, that opens up people's eyes to it, the ones that see it and they go, maybe that's something I want to start collecting and getting into. But now that's more competition for you, right? So it's that fine line you walk
Yeah.
about what you share and what you don't.
I think we all have a different approach to that. I think out of us three, Serge is definitely the more secretive.
100%.
He doesn't want to say too much. Sometimes to us,
And he's the one who wants to know the
Oh,
most,
boy.
by the way. So it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Operational security.
You know, that hurts my feelings because I'd definitely be showing you guys like. You know,
No, you show stuff, but
Oh,
there's
yeah.
things that you probably are like, oh, I never knew about that. No, that's nice.
Yeah.
It keeps it interesting.
Mhm.
I'm definitely the one who cares the least about it now. I don't really care to hide stuff or like not talk about what I'm getting into because it's all over the place anyways. But we all had that in common where we just like to research. We like to do our research. We like to go information hunting. Like we loved getting down rabbit holes and just learn about things, like collectibles, period. Like it was just fun, and then talk about it.
Mhm.
And that's how like the whole podcast started. Is, hey man, we talk about this all the time. Let's just see if it's useful for anyone, because we would have loved to have something like that. And we had, MCCW podcast, but it was mostly centered around, Marvel and character collecting. So
Yeah.
we just wanted to provide something different. And we had, like, looking back, there's so many different chats that lasted like 7 months or a year and then died. And somehow we just kept we kept sticking around, us three. So
Yeah.
for sure.
And speaking of the going on rabbit holes, yeah, that's definitely something all three of us have in common. I would say that Doom has the healthiest way of doing that, though. Well, me and Sergio, like, speaking of just, we love information in general, and it doesn't only include collecting. Like, me and Sergio could get into like conspiracy theories where Doom will be like, nah, you guys kind of lost me on that. I don't want additional worries in my mind or anything, or clutter.
Right.
And me and Sergio were like, nah, we need to know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm the least paranoid of the group.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say we're paranoid. You know what I mean?
I would.
People, let's put it this way.
I would label it as paranoid.
Hey, there's some. I wouldn't. Again, I have to defend this one because there's some people that don't want to give you their address. They'll give you a PO box. That's a little bit paranoid.
Okay, yeah.
On camera, somewhat on camera.
You can see the varied paranoia. For sure.
But it's kind of weird because we're like, we're very different, but we're very similar in certain ways,
Yeah.
Like we want the information, and we've always wanted to share the information. Some people just don't want to listen, Like, and we question so many times, like, do we give the information? Does it even matter? Are they listening? And I mean, it's kind of like I was answering a question the other day. Somebody was asking, hey, what's the price of this? And I said, it's the price that you're willing to pay for it. And it's kind of the same thing with like collecting. Like, what are you looking for? What are you searching for? Whether it's financial or something like ethically, like, hey, this is how like I'm going to do the homework, the research. It's really just what you're willing to look into, right?
Again. Yeah, that word again. Doom said it a few times. Research. Not just asking people, like, give me the answer to this question, because it's not one answer. What's the value of this? What's it worth to you?
I can't answer. Yeah, like I can't think the way you think. Everyone values things differently, so it's impossible to do so.
And also naturally, like, whoever you ask that question to is going to have natural bias. So even the answer they give you is going to have a little bit of their flavor in there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, like, if I ask you, Elusive, hey, what's the value of this thing? Because I know you kind of are into those things, and you give me a value, and I mean, oh, well, I was thinking this. Well, then why the hell you're thinking, why the hell did you even ask me? Right? If you already have that in your head, what that is, then why'd you even ask me? So,
Yeah.
I think that's helpful though. Like,
Yeah.
if I have a number, I want to hear second opinions about what other thing it's valued at, and see how far off I am from them, and if there's something in common or not. I think that's helpful.
I think you can. That can be healthy because you can ask, kind of like, hey, how did you come to that determination?
You can, but I think one of the things that's great for, by the way, as well, is like not so much what you would buy it at, but if you ask people that are specifically into that, that will give you a good range of what someone's willing to pay for it. Because everybody knows that sells, that we're all as sellers looking for the right person to buy that item, right? So if you ask me about Batmobiles, I might tell you, this one, because it's so rare, I think it's worth X. Well, now you know what a Batmobile enthusiast is willing to pay for it. That doesn't mean you're willing to pay for it, to your point. And if you ask Sergio, hey, I got this foreign Doom cover, what are you willing to pay for it? He's going to give you a different answer than what I would be willing to pay for it, right? So I think that's a good way to gauge, like again, as a seller, not so much as a buyer.
Yeah,
but that relies on trust, right? Relies on trust with people of what you're buying or what you're looking to get. And unfortunately, in the hobby, like, it's it's cutthroat at times, so you just gotta be mindful who you tell things to, because
the trust is few and far between, right? And you got to build that relationship and that trust, and it only takes one or two times for that trust to go out the window as well.
And it can't be a one-way street.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got to be both ways, because without the trust, then you might as well be out searching on your own. Like, you do yourself a better service that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to that point about like getting frustrated about people not taking your advice, I think early on I figured that out. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you believe. You throw it out there for those who think similar to you, or those who understand your thoughts, right? It's not going to apply to everyone, so you can't get frustrated at the hobby. I think a lot of times we get frustrated at the hobby in general. You just gotta worry about yourself. Worry about your own little circle, and you'll enjoy it way more that way.
And I think also I mean, for me at least, conscious for my conscious wise, I also just wanted to make sure people knew I wasn't trying to steer them the wrong way. So now, like, as long as I still know that, and we're having fun, and we're still giving you information, and you want to do what you want to do with it, that's on you now. But I know that I'm not steering you wrong. And also, like, there's sometimes people, there's like we always talked about it in regards to research with cards and Marvel specifically, but there's a learning curve. Sometimes, I mean, hopefully it doesn't come off the wrong way, but you might watch an episode of ours from 2 years ago and you barely understood what we meant by something. So it might take you a while to pick up what we were putting down. That could be part of it. So it could be you're not in the same part of our collecting journey that we were when we made that video. You could be at an earlier starting point.
Stage,
right.
And we've all changed. Like, I've probably changed the most throughout the last 3 years, just in my thinking of what I like and what I don't want to collect. It's it's tough. But like, it's funny though, because I hear a lot about these things should be this way, they should be here, these prices should be here. Like, it's to me, it's like being around drunk people. After a certain while, when you hear that type of mentality, it's like, I have very low patience for it now. So you start telling me what things should be, I'm like, oh, okay, dude, like, I'm checking out, because you're not open to what it actually is. Like, we all have our own perception of what things should be. But it's impossible to project that on people, because you're just going to be frustrated with the hobby. It's impossible to be happy that way.
To me, the most frustrating part about that, because I don't mind people that say, "Hey, I think this should be worth that," if they're putting their money where their mouth is. Because a lot of times when I was giving that advice, I was actually picking up cards for the prices I was saying I was
Right.
picking them up and putting those ranges.
Or for
But
me, it's here and this is why. But like
yeah,
when I'm just talking about the hobby in general, like that's the easiest way for me to not listen to you.
yeah. Like for me, it was the people that were like the example that I always go to is the Facebook group that people were like before. This is before Marvel XL, by the way, or Masterpieces XL.
Yeah.
When there were anything Juiceco related from 2016, if someone would post like a Wolverine base out of 99 for like 1,500, people would go, "Oh my god, that's a steal! Get it!" Right? And like 15 comments just like circle jerking each other.
But nobody's buying it. But nobody's buying it.
It's not a steal if it's sitting, and there's a reason why it's sitting, right? Like,
yeah,
I understand people have their reasons for that, but now we're not even talking about the same thing. Now we're talking about what you think it's at, what you value it, and you have some of those cards there, and you have added level of interest to keep it at a certain price point.
Right.
I'm checking out.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to do on this was to kind of talk a little bit about different things that you guys might collect or have collected in the past that people might not know about you. We all collected something, maybe not in a collecting aspect, but we all grew up playing with different toys and stuff like that. First question on that topic would be, what was your all-time favorite toy as a kid that you don't have now that you wish you had back? And I want to start with Sergio on that one.
Oh man, listen, as a kid, and I always say, like, I'm surprised I didn't get into it too deep, but Ninja Turtles, man. I was a big Ninja Turtle guy, and I had obviously like probably hand-me-downs from my cousins, and the Latino culture, you get handed down certain toys. Yeah. Hey, you got a younger cousin, guess what? There's gonna be a day that you're gonna have to say goodbye to them. PlayStations, Super Nintendos. Man, I was big into video games. Obviously, like, growing up in the early 90s, probably being in that like 4 or 5 year old range, having older cousins, playing Mortal Kombat. I was always big into video games. And when it comes to toys, man, I mean, do I have a favorite toy? It's tough, man. I think I've told you this before. Like the biggest regret is definitely the pizza. Yeah. The pizza truck. I used to have the Ninja Turtle pizza truck. One day, you get home from school, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I looking back, I'm like, fuck, I wish I could have those pieces back for sure. But Ninja Turtles, man, I'm a big fan.
The Ninja Turtles pizza throwing truck.
Ninja Turtles was a bunch. I guess sticking to the question is like, it's Ninja Turtles. The toy that I remember the most, it's fun, it's not even my favorite character, it's a Leonardo action figure.
Shout out Leonardo.
That
number 3 on your list.
Yeah, that you would bend and it would do a backflip. And I don't have one, and I'm sure they're out there. I still haven't gone down that path. I leave a lot of little like treasures for myself. I'm like, oh, I know I can go down that road someday, but for now, I'm just leaving it there because I know for a fact I'm gonna do that. But I don't want to go through everything yet. Let me go find something else, right? That's the main figure, and it was always Turtles in the beginning, and the most nostalgic thing was the Lowrider stickers as a kid, and just the Lowrider magazine, which I've gotten, looking back at them now, but those were it.
For me, man, it's funny because again, being raised in Mexico and then coming to the U.S., I noticed the difference in what I was focusing on. For example, in Mexico, I was really doing more outdoorsy things. I was playing spin tops. I was playing marbles. I was playing with slingshots.
Marbles,
right?
Sure.
And that I had a crazy marble collection because I was always in Mexico. You'd play for keeps, and like you would win whoever you were playing against. Kind of like when you would play with Pogs, very similar to Pogs in that sense. And then coming to the U.S., the first toy that I remember, I never owned it until now as an adult, but I never had it as a kid. It was the Batmobile from '89. but it was the Ertl version that my cousin had. But his, from playing it with it so long, the top faded off, the yellow symbol that the Ertl had. So that's one toy, and one toy that I never owned even till this day. I kind of grew out of it. I feel was the Green Ranger flute, where he used to summon the Dragon Zord. That was, I remember, still was 7 years old. Excuse me. My birthday was coming up, and my parents were asking me what I wanted, and I mentioned that to them, right? And it was on the Toys R Us catalog. I still remember the price, by the way. It was $69.99.
I used to study the catalogs for sure.
Yeah, and we just couldn't afford it, and I never got it. I never got that for my birthday, and yeah, it's why are you bringing up shit like that, Nate? That's crazy. But yeah, not messing.
For me, it's the Power Rangers. The Power Rangers toys, I always wanted them, never got them.
Yeah. So I'm probably 5 to 6 years older than you guys. So even though I'm not that much older than you, the toys you grew up in the age range you're talking about, for me, it was G.I. Joe still, because Turtles hadn't come out. You know, that 4 to 6 years old, Turtles hadn't come out yet. Because I think they came out, like 86, 87 for the first toys? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, around there.
I don't even think those first ones even had, like, you mentioned, like, the flippy action stuff. Because that was
those were in the 90s.
The late 80s, early 90s that stuff even started to happen with the toys. But for me, it was always little G.I. Joe figures. Like, if I could go back, just looking at it from, like, a financial aspect, not like pure enjoyment, but just like the financial, like, could I go back, or if I had just kept all that stuff from then, it's like the people with the 1970s stuff for Star Wars, you know what I mean? Like, had you been able to have that now, just like that collection would just be so incredible.
Those are extremely sought after.
So don't let me come up on a big amount of money. You know what I mean? We're gonna fuck around and find out.
We've been saying that. Don't let us win the lottery.
Growing up as a kid, the one toy that I wish I could have back, and it wasn't even my toy; it was my uncle's toy. My uncle was only like 12 years old, 10, 12 years older than me, but he was into like RC cars. Yeah, and he always had like Bigfoot RC trucks.
Yeah,
and I just thought those were the best, man, because he'd be out there in the driveway, he'd make little ramps and stuff like that for him. He'd have the other little model cars out there. And
I still have
for
one.
me, that was just great.
I have one of those Bigfoot RCs that my dad bought me from Radio Shack.
Oh, shout out to Radio Shack. Yeah. People forgot about that. Yeah.
And that thing's in my closet. It's probably like 25 years old. I still have it. It doesn't
Radio
work.
Shack at Circuit City.
Yeah, Circuit City. R.I.P.
Yeah, like 10 to 13 years old, I was big into like the little HO cars that you put on the plastic track with the electric current run through them. I'd squeeze the little panel and it'd zoom your car around the track. And one of our local hobby shops had an entire upstairs that was just like 16-foot by 12-foot table tracks that you'd go there like on a Thursday night or something, and you just go and you race, not like league, but just go and race and have fun, just to hang out. That was just so cool. I really enjoyed doing that stuff. So, but yeah, man, reminiscing about the childhood.
Man, you bringing up these questions, man. Go ahead. What's the next?
Is it giving you all the feels or what?
No,
you're bringing up generational traumas here, you know?
And why do you think Sergio didn't want to turn on this camera for this episode? You know what I mean?
I had to work hard for that yacht.
Yeah, no, you ain't lying.
Yeah.
That just sits in the yard. But so nowadays though, I mean, you guys, you're all collecting different stuff, obviously. Obviously Sergio has like super secret stuff he doesn't want to share. Something that you're willing to share that people might not know that you're into collecting nowadays.
Let me think. Think of recently I picked up a little Dragon Ball. I'm just gonna put it out there like that. I picked up a little Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I know that you're into anime. I know these guys know that you're into anime, but you're in a bunch of different anime stuff. As far as like watching the shows and stuff like that.
That's another big nostalgia, man. I've always was I remember, and we talk about it. I talk about this with my son. You want to talk about nostalgia. We're talking about when you had like DSL, when you had dial-up, and the only way to watch these things was to legitimately download these things through things like LimeWire or like whatever, the case was, torrents.
Mm-hmm.
And back then you really had to do some research. Now everything is like handed to you in a silver platter. And just Dragon Ball Z, like just watching that growing up, like whether I watched it in Spanish on Telemundo or whether I watched it, or whether I watched Saint Seiya, Knights of the Zodiac in Spanish, man, like stuff like that is just like Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon's a big one. Obviously, Pokemon. All things that I love, but I just don't collect, man. It's just too much, man. Like there's so much out there. Like I have picked up some Sailor Moon stuff, which I think it's still at Comsi actually. Low key. So hopefully, I'm gonna have to pick up some pieces before this airs, so you guys don't get too crazy.
No, you pick as much Sailor Moon as you want. All you could eat.
Elusive hates Sailor Moon, even though he knows you watched it before Pokemon.
100%.
Like listen, it doesn't doesn't mean you're diddled up if you like some Sailor Moon. It's okay.
Pause on that. No, it has nothing to do with that. I just never watched it in general. And if I wanted to collect girl dolls, I might as well buy vintage Barbies.
Wow. Nate, did you watch? How old are you when Pokemon came out?
Oh shit, man! I already
37.
That was what 96?
Yeah,
96.
96.
I was 16, so I was already into cars, doing the whole subwoofers and Pioneers speakers.
Oh yeah, let's go. Yeah,
He had that golden era.
I was in the lowrider. I was into the lowrider magazines at that point in time. Not for the cars, but
he's like forget Pokemon.
Not the cars.
Little lowrider.
Nice.
There you go. Oh yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I mean so I grew up in Holland, Michigan, and there's a huge Hispanic culture in Holland, Michigan, along with the Asian culture. So those two kind of cross paths quite frequently in my teenage years, as far as like how those cultural influences kind of dictate what the teenagers are into and what they're doing and stuff like that. It was great to see all that, and we didn't have a ton of lowrider cars, but I mean that culture was everywhere as far as like the clothing. What was it, the Musimo shorts, soccer shorts or whatever, or whatever it was. The baggy pants,
Jinko jeans.
So I mean that whole.
It was a whole era for sure. Yeah, and you can't duplicate that. You can't bring that. No,
not as far as like a generational thing. You know what I mean?
No, it was a moment in time, and it depends what region you were, right? But for me, like now collecting is really going back to that, to what's most nostalgic to me, right? Like I showed this last week, but. Lowrider magazine. I didn't know they did a Marvel collab, right?
It's just looking too nice in that Mylar, dog.
Yeah, man. It's an actual magazine. There's a comic book and there's a magazine. So this is an actual magazine. And
you shared both those on your Instagram, right?
Yeah, they're on my Instagram. And I've always collected like these, these little Hot Wheels RLC lowriders. And they just released one, which I need to get. I missed one, but
now
going back to that,
are they adjustable? Does it allow you to adjust?
So they just have like you can move the wheels.
That's cool though. It's a nice little feature.
Yeah,
for a Hot Wheel. Because typically Hot Wheels you don't get anything out of them. It's just it's a die-cast bar and it's there.
Yeah, these are like their Red Line Club, which is like their more exclusive ones. You need a membership to buy them. But yeah, that type of stuff, and that era was a big influence on me and my culture, right? What I grew up around, and it's something I try to. I get when Sergio was speaking about like passing down toys, like it just made me think of it. we treat it like it's so we minimalize it, but you think about it, like you're passing down a lot of items that have a lot of memories for kids, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And there's like it's much bigger than what we talk about it. Like those Ninja Turtles meant a lot at the time. With whatever's going on in the world, like that's what kept us distracted of all the BS. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So I was you guys talk about the passing down of the toys and stuff. So I was the oldest of 4 kids. But even so, my toys that I had typically were getting passed down to my younger siblings. But even the stuff I was getting was, passed down from not necessarily older cut-ins, but just secondhand stores or Salvation Army or wherever it was from, because that's what we grew up as.
And they influenced the people who got those items passed down to them, right? It's just part of their nostalgia and of their childhood, which is it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I never gave my answer, but my answer would have been Game Boy, the original Game Boy. I wish I had that.
Yeah,
I don't have it. So
yeah. So like, so on the video game aspect, like, so we grew up when we first moved to Holland. My first exposure to video games was the original Nintendo system. And the only reason I was exposed to it was because the kid that lived behind us on the other side of the fence had a Nintendo. So we started playing, and then he's like, hey, you guys want to come over and play Nintendo? And he it was the best thing in the world, because you're like, Mike Tyson Punch-Out, Duck Hunt, Super Mario, or Mario Brothers. Just like, this is amazing. And then Super Nintendo came out, and then so the first game system that I ever owned was the Sega Dreamcast. Nice. My mom went over, she rented one from Rent-A-Center, so paid way too much for it, with the way they're set up. But
shout out to Layaway, if you guys remember Layaway.
Oh my God, Christmas present Layaway every time.
Shout out to Walmart.
The day before Christmas, mom's rushing in there to get her Layaway before they cancel it. Yeah, for sure. And Layaway was everywhere. Kmart, Walmart, Meijer.
I remember when the Dreamcast came out, man. Obviously like the Sonic Adventure, which was awesome. Man, they had so many good titles, coming out. Obviously, there was like an arcade system, and that's where I played Marvel vs. Capcom too. So that's like super nostalgic for me. Obviously, like the Sonic Adventure, it was dope too, and it was different. Like that was like, and they had the memory card that was like a little bit different, and it was just, I don't know, like it was doing something like different at that time.
It was way different.
Yeah, man. Stuff like that. I mean, just, when you talk about like nostalgia, the one thing that definitely hits for sure all the time is, getting out of school, hanging out with friends, talking smack. This guy's talking smack, and you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to play WWE versus Raw tonight. It's going down. And
that community aspect around gaming, because it was always a neighbor who had the system, and you just go to their house.
Someone had something, or you knew that he had the PlayStation, so the other homie was like, all right, I'm gonna go buy the N64, and it just became like a shit show, like on the weekends. And that's super nostalgic to me, man. Is like, gathering with friends, after school, playing that Monday Night Raw, watching Raw, even like, I know we don't talk about wrestling too much, but man, I was super interesting, growing up as a kid.
My grandma,
the Mankind, the Undertaker,
every wrestling show. She had like bookcases full of videotapes.
Wow.
And she'd go back and rewatch them too. Because those were the DVRs of the day. And so I'd sneak out, hide behind her recliner while she was watching the wrestling show at night and stuff like that. I tried to sneak back into the bedroom. Always got caught. But
shout out to if you guys remember cyber cafes as well. Like I used to play Counter-Strike, StarCraft. Back when you used to pay like $5 and you could play for like 3 hours. And I remember on a Friday or Saturday, if you played $20, you could play all night, and they would buy pizza, and drinks were on them.
All right. I got one. Going to the library, signing up on the sign-in roster, waiting an hour to play 20 minutes of Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oregon
Trail. Signing up again, wait another hour.
Listen, you're always getting sabotaged in Oregon Trail,
Oregon Trail is fun.
Someone always has like dysentery.
It's a Macintosh game, right?
Yeah.
It's a Mac game that we play.
Obviously, it's like, the people that landed here on the
on the East Coast, had to make it to obviously the Oregon Trail, make it all the way to the West, and you like make decisions, and trees
You get
fall
to
on
the
you,
final,
your
and then
oxygen,
you just you get on the river and you try to survive.
Can't carry too much food. Got to make sure you have enough oxygen.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Another one to me is like GoldenEye. That was probably what got me into first-person shooters. GoldenEye 007.
Elusive keeps bringing up these games, and I'm like, man, these are so new compared to.
All right, how about Tetris? Yeah, I'm big on Tetris. How about that? Is that old?
Yeah.
But Nate, you still beat Pokemon, no? Tell me you beat Pokemon at least once on the game.
I never played Pokemon, man.
What?
I never bought a single pack of Pokemon early, until 2022. I had never bought a pack of Pokemon cards ever. Never bought a Pokemon thing. It wasn't. I just was not into it. It wasn't my thing.
I think
at
it was
16, I had already moved. I'd moved past that interest. At 16, it was cars, radios, 400 CDs because you got so many free ones from Columbia House when you signed up.
The subscription. Yeah, I forgot about Columbia House, dude.
Yep.
I had binders and binders of CD players to the point where you're like, all right, I need to get a 400 CD disc changer to put in my car.
Well, you were a baller if you had one of those, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, take away the stereo when you got out the car, so that one's still.
Yeah, you take the face stack off of there, and
Jesus Christ.
I remember I got into speakers, have it kicker amps, kicker L7,
Rockford Fosgate
amps,
Kenwood.
Pioneer deck, and the
Alpine
speakers.
All that. Putting tweeters, 6x9s, the whole thing.
Yeah, and then and then it got to the point where you had to have the cooling systems and stuff like that to keep everything cooled down enough.
Yeah. If it wasn't shaking the street, you didn't have a car.
I was still doing stereo stuff at 22. I was still doing stereo stuff at 22. To putting big ass subwoofers in the back seat of my Blazer.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I had a little Honda Accord with the ridiculous kicker setup.
What size though? Because I had something modest, man. I had a 12, but that's being modest.
I had an L7, which was a 12, but it was those squared ones.
I had a.
No, just going to college and showing up to university, just being super ghetto in the morning, just with everything loud as fuck. It's just
I had an 04 Accord, and I had two 15-inch kickers in the back, and I had a whole setup. I spent close to $3,000 on the system, and I had it for about, I would say, 3 years, and then someone straight stole it from my driveway. From then, and what's crazy? The rule, right? When you come into your neighborhood, you lower that shit down.
You gotta lower it down.
So that was part of the. But still,
everybody knows who you are and what house you go to.
You know what I mean? Someone followed me for a minute, number one, but also, and then I never got back into it. I was 19 or 20 at the time. But the other reason why is, if you guys remember, I think soon after that, this is around 06, 07. Is when a lot of the newer cars already came with premium systems as well. So you didn't have to you could still do it, but if you added a single subwoofer at that point, that would make a big difference. And back then you really had to go all out,
Well, even nowadays, back in the day, we'd go to Best Buy, or there was a couple specific stereo specific stores you'd go to. Even now you go to Best Buy, you look at their car stereo section, you're just the stock stereo is better.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, unless you go all out or get super in depth with it, man. Oh, that just brought back memories. Crutchfield magazine.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Crutchfield was the thing.
Yeah. Mail order those parts, get them in.
Which was great. You get to buy you get a new stereo. They'll sell you the kit, so you don't have to. You
do everything. You do everything yourself on the weekend with your buddies.
I remember also too. I used to pick up those DuPont registry books and just look at all those old cars, man. Back in the day.
What's
showing up at
the DuPont registry that has the supercars and stuff on there, the Ferraris?
I remember the muscle car was the Whitney or something. I forget which other catalogs, but all the old school cars. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and that's also crazy. It's funny you guys mentioned even with cars, right? We're talking about collectibles and how the more we've been collecting, we've switched up the way we collect. Even with cars as well. Like I remember younger, I was more into like import tuners. I was heavy into that. Then it was like now as I'm older, I'm more like into American muscle, and I still like tuners. But then from American muscle, then I went to like Porsches. So it's like funny how it changes as you go. Even though never owned a Porsche or a classic muscle car, but you know what I mean.
When I was 16, I was into whatever car cost $500 or less.
The Pinto? That's probably around your time?
1989 Pontiac Sierra. That was the first one that I put a stereo system.
Nice.
Yeah, roll up into a church event and got Bone Thugs and Harmony playing.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I remember I used to get yelled at for having that CD because I don't know if you guys remember the Eternal 1999 album, but it has like it's like a reflective, but then it has like skull and bones, like round and round. And I remember my mom had I don't know if you guys, I know you guys remember this, Nate, for sure. Those like stereo decks that had like the 2 cassettes, the vinyl player. It had like kind of like that combo.
Yeah.
And this is back when they started like the 5-disc changer, like the 5-disc CD changers. Yeah. And my mom opened that thing up one day and saw like those skull and bones. She's like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, oh shit. I'm like, no, don't throw it away. It's not mine. It's my cousin's.
I think the first CD my mom really questioned was it was a rock band, Ugly Kid Joe, and because she got into the car and it was already in the CD changer and it started playing, and she's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" I was like, "What? My friends? It's my friend's CD. Yeah."
Yeah,
it's not mine. They must have left it in there.
We all got questioned at one point, But then listen, hey, listen. Growing up Latino, you listen to some of those songs and you like running back. You're like, yo, these people they're on some after party, freak off situation kind of stuff going on with these Latino songs. So, the Latino parents were judging hard, but Jesus Christ, if you listen to some of that old music, it's wild.
It's wild too.
Yeah, I think part of it too is that they weren't really even though they were living in the same areas we're living, obviously, is that they were at work, so they didn't really see what was going on around in the neighborhood. You talk about like them judging what you would listen to. Like for me, it was like the 2001 Chronic, just because it had the marijuana leaf in the front, right? Like that was, and I wasn't smoking back then, you know what I mean? Which is wild. That and the DMX with the pit bulls in the front. So yeah, that was heavy. Those two CDs in the early 2000s were, that and Eminem, probably like the Marshall Mathers CDs, probably like the three.
Yeah.
A lot of that music I revisit now is like, man, it's some dark music.
Yeah.
I can't really listen to it like that anymore, but it just, anytime I do listen, it puts me in that mindset like, I was going through a lot back then. I don't want to go back to that.
I think
I'm good.
That, and we've brought that up a few times, like not necessarily, the trauma, the good memories, the bad memories, the hand-me-down stuff, the dark memories, all that stuff. I think a lot of our generation's upbringing was a lot of hands-off too. Like today's modern kids, it's very hands-on, control everything they do, keep them safe, sort of thing. Whereas at least my growing up, I'm sure your guys is kind of the same. We're pretty close to that same demographic, 80s and 90s, where mom and dad said come home when by the time the street lights come on, sort of situation, right? Yeah. And you just went out and did whatever it was you did. Yeah. As long as the cops weren't bringing you home, you were good to go. Yeah. Right. So we got to experience a lot more.
You learn life lessons on the street.
Yeah, and there were some heavy ones. I'll be honest with you. I remember you're probably gonna want to bleep this out, but I remember being 7 or 8 years.
You'll have to remind me afterwards, otherwise it stays in.
Yeah, I was 7 or 8. And I got my first bike, and I would always ride with my 2 cousins. It was the 3 of us, and one of them was the same age as me. The other one was a year older, and we would just run around the neighborhood, maybe within like a 5-mile radius, right, of our apartments. And we walked into someone's house, and just the mom was coming, didn't give a fuck that we were there. It was just crazy stuff. Like we're 7 or 8, seeing shit that we probably shouldn't be seeing at the time. Then to Jesus' point, like we were just like, wow, that was weird. And just certain situations that we got into, we're like, oh, dude, how did we didn't get kidnapped or nothing happened to us? because no one was looking out for us. You know, that's why your boy Dahmer was able to get away with what he was able to get away with at the time. You know.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah. My dad, my dad always told me, like, don't overthink things because life is gonna show you the lessons. It just happens. And it was. I mean, that's how it was growing up. Even though they were around, they were protective. Like, you still were outside. We weren't stuck inside the home all day.
Yeah, you
were
didn't.
interacting with kids and their parents, and you got to see, like, ooh, I don't like how their parents are. Ooh, I don't think that's right.
Maybe mine isn't so bad.
Yeah. But we didn't have access to all the stuff kids have now. Like, I have a niece and nephew. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Everything's so instantaneous for them.
Yeah.
So then there's that instantaneous gratification or instantaneous need to have your questions, regardless of what they are. But we're on the hobby hangout, so hobby related, having those things given to you versus having to do the research to find it. We can bring it circle back to that as well. So we covered kind of like some hobby issues or news or whatever. We talked about some childhood stuff. We broke down Doom here a little bit, and we got deep into the mental health aspect of things, and a little bit of new and older collecting. So one thing that so we've talked past, present. Let's talk about future. Hobby wise, where do you guys see yourself going in the hobby? I know we're constantly changing and evolving what we're doing. Where do you see you guys' selves going individually, not collectively as a group for NSDC, but individually? Where do you see yourselves going hobby wise?
I'll start it off. For me, is I enjoy the card stuff. I enjoy comic books. That's not something I grew up with, so that's something fun. I'm definitely steering more like just the artwork and getting into some of the artwork. But in my own way, like I don't like to have expensive things. I don't enjoy it.
You're picking and choosing what you like and what triggers something in you.
If I have expensive things, it stresses me out more than enjoying it. So it's finding a certain threshold where I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get this because
where that cost doesn't really. You're just like, okay, whatever.
No. And there's people talk about artwork OA. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do, commissions, sketches, like whatever you're into. But I'm definitely tried it all a little bit, and now I'm just focused in being more picky and I know how I want to approach it. I don't want to have covers that are like it's just not fun when I own things that are too valuable. I don't give myself the ability to enjoy it as easily. So it's that's the direction I'm headed, and I'm still gonna be. We're still getting cards. We're waiting for DC.
That's gonna be sweet. That's gonna be so sweet to see some of the DC sets come out.
Yeah, I would say for me, I'm looking forward to just checking boxes as far as like goals that I have for certain things that I'm still chasing. But to be honest with you, when you ask me that question, one thing that comes to mind is, I one of the things I don't know is kind of like when I was introduced to foreign comics. I'm looking forward to what I don't even collect right now. I'm looking forward to that initial discovery. That initial where I have to dive deep and do all my research in again.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
And I don't know what that may be, you know what I mean? And maybe I'll meet someone in the next couple of years in the hobby where they'll show me something that they collect that I'm not even into. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. What about you, Serge?
Man, future of collecting. I definitely, and I said it before, not to be like the Debbie Downer, but I'm just done in general collecting cards. Like the recent stuff I have picked up are like vintage stickers, things that came in different like little sets and stuff like that. Back in the 70s and the 80s. Very clear from all the modern stuff. Like I'm I'm not buying as many foreigns. I mean, at this point, like, you know, if I were to showcase like all of them, you know, I have a good amount, and you know, some rainbows I'm not chasing like all the way. I'm just waiting. You know, some stuff is a waiting game. Some stuff is you just waiting for the thing to pop up so you can buy it. But I could definitely say I want to, you know, I kind of headed towards more like the commission style, you know, kind of base, just because, you know, commissions are depending on you know how deep you go on them. You know that they're it may not be published. You know, at this point, I don't really care. It's about something that I enjoy, something that I like, and you know, just reaching out to some artists, connecting with some of these guys, getting like little commission pieces, maybe like, you know, a couple times a year, and just keeping it simple, man. You know, the stuff for the most part that I pick up, like it's not with an intention to sell. So at least not today, you know, maybe tomorrow, but like,
right.
you know, today as of right now, like it's just a matter of like, you know, picking up things that I like, things that I enjoy. And, you know, you may see some Batman cards. You know, I am excited for the Batman situation. Obviously, like, you know, I don't know how deep I'm going to go into that, but you know, we'll just kind of see how it goes, you know, see what it looks like when it comes out. And I don't know, you know, I think I've said this before, and I don't know if you guys feel like the same way. You know, we have some big cards, right? Like, you know, Nate, you have some big cards. I think the one thing, like the feeling for me as a collector that kind of just like makes me feel the way I feel right now is that no matter what it is, whether it's a card out of 10, whether it's a comic, something that you like, whatever, when you open that package, man, the feeling is the same. Once you unpackage it and everything, it doesn't matter if it's a one of one. It's not going to feel any different in that binder than it wouldn't, you know? So
Yeah, absolutely.
Just picking up things that you know, being more patient, and you know, honestly, like by being a little bit more patient, even that, having that extra funding, that when something big does pop up, you don't stand a chance. I'm taking it, you know, because I'm not buying, you know, little fractional like this, that, over there, you know, here, over there. It's just like, hey, something big came up. Do I have the funds? Yes, because I haven't really bought anything. Boom, you know, like now we have a different conversation to you know, lock down the things that I do actually want to lock down, you know. But you know, right now I'm looking at some stuff, man. I got a couple more books that are coming in, and then I'll have like pretty much a complete rainbow. I'll be able to show just something fun. But you know, just keep having fun with these guys, man. Honestly, like, you know, if it wasn't for these guys, if it wasn't for people like you, like, and you know, Hobby Hangout and some of the good people out there, I wouldn't be doing this in general. You know, like,
sure.
You know, I fell into this you know, Instagram collecting space, and you know, it was mainly like, you know, Marvel stuff, and I'm just excited to see other people. Like I want to see new people. Like I think you know, Retrospects, when they did the episode of State of the Hobby, when they mentioned like, hey, like, you know, these 10 people, I know what he meant by that, you know, and really, like, you know, I want to continue to see the hobby grow, and not just the Marvel hobby, like, you know, the collecting hobby as a whole. And there's just a lot of cool stuff out there, man. You know, like a lot of cool collectors, whether you're watching someone collect toys, or, you know, whatever, models, you know, figures, figurines, older stuff, just enjoying it a day at a time, man. You know, like, I don't have the like, again, it just feels good to not have like a pressure, dude. Something selling right now and I have no idea about it. Oh well, bro, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing other stuff. And, you know, if I do want it, believe me, that blue dot will go off, and, you know, we'll find out what's up. We'll see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, it's been awesome chatting with you. Always is.
Thanks.
It's always good conversation. We kind of tangent sometimes, and that's cool. It's fun. It's
what we do.
Other parts of the conversation. So, but for everybody else out there, let's do this. Actually, it's NSDC Podcast is here, so we're not going to do anti-shout-outs, but let's get at least one shout-out from each of you.
Yeah, I'm going to say...
You can't say me. So.
Okay. I'm going to shout out a couple shout-outs, but I'm going to shout out Jake, Retroverse, UK. Shout out to Uncle Jake. We haven't seen you in a minute. I don't know what you've been up to. Shout out to Sergio, and talking about what he was saying, I would hope that he gets active on his YouTube and starts doing some of his old school mail calls. He needs to stop being stingy with his secrets over there and just show people what he's picking up. Those were like the funnest videos for me when I was looking into what he was doing. It was always cool just to see him chasing around his mail lady. So yeah, shout out to Sergio, shout out to Retroverse, and shout out to y'all.
For sure. Shout out. You know, I'm gonna shout out people who get a lot of shit for things. Depending on who you are, I guess you think it's deserved or not. But shout out to Fausto. He helped me get into this whole collecting aspect, and we still talk time to time. But it's always good to have that ear of someone who's been collecting a long time. So shout out to him. Shout out to anyone who's been around, stuck around.
Yeah.
We all have our likes and dislikes. Lord knows I have my own with certain people. They know they don't like me, so I still appreciate their presence, though. It's such a small hobby, and some days we might not talk, but some days we're blocked, some days we're not. It just is what it is. So shout out to Tim. Been talking Tim with a lot of DC and anyone, and shout out to Amanda, like all the people rocking with DC, excited about DC.
For sure.
Shout out to everyone out there.
Yeah, man.
And let's see, shout outs. I mean, let me think of one, man, because I want to give a shout out.
Yeah, because you're the first one. You didn't have like 30 minutes to think about it. You know what I mean?
No, but you name some people. Like it's just
he had a whole list, and then you guys got all of his lists. So
yeah, Fausto was definitely on his list. My bad, Sergio.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Fausto.
Shout out to Fausto.
Just in general, man. I'm not gonna name anyone. You guys know, people that I rock with, man. Shout out to the good people out there, man. There's some good people out there. Again, I'm the one thing that I'm most grateful for. It's not part of the collection, honestly. Like as I continue to grow in the space, it's the friendships that you make along the way, man. So shout out to you guys, man. Yeah, just keep it simple, man. No anti shout outs. We can't drop anti. We're not dropping.
I mean, you can.
No, we'll say that for tomorrow.
Yeah, save that for the podcast.
Or say now, because tomorrow I might have like a whole lot of anti shout outs. So you never know.
Nah, you will not have.
Antis.
He's not gonna have anti shout outs tomorrow.
No, he's a positive guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, look, thank you for recognizing it. I try to be positive. It's a work in progress.
We're all work in progress. You know what I mean?
You could definitely tell those days when you're doing the podcast when you just like. You're in an anti shout out mood, but you're trying so hard not to.
Which to some of your guys' surprises is more often than you guys think. He's in an anti shout out mood.
Yeah, 100%. These two definitely hear my rants most of the time.
And me and Lucifer are just here to like egg them on.
We're just here for emotional support. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definely need all the emotional
I'm totally using that for the intro part of this. We're just here for emotional support.
Jesus Christ.
Nice.
We are, man.
So,
for sure.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody watching. Thank you guys so much. NSDC, you guys rock. Thanks again for coming by. Remember, the hobby isn't just one thing. It's collectively, it's all of us together. And just try to help each other out as much as you can, but also don't put up with bullshit.
Yeah.
See you.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
What did Nate do?